Cameroon and Benin Republic. President Muhammadu Buhari seeks confirmation of new service chiefs and chief of defense staff. House of Representatives tussle put to rest as Femi Gbajabiamila emerges House leader. Before we join us on the news on NTA International, my name is Ifeanyi Okafor. President Muhammadu Buhari will continue his ongoing efforts to build a more effective regional coalition against Boko Haram with a visit to Yaoundé tomorrow for talks with President Paul Biya and senior Cameroonian government officials. The talks between President Buhari and his Cameroonian counterparts are expected to focus on the full activation and deployment of the multinational Joint Task Force against Boko Haram, which has been established under the auspices of the Lake Chad Basin Commission. President Buhari, who will be accompanied on the two-day trip by 6 state governors, as well as the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Defense and the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, will also discuss further joint measures to curb terrorism, violent extremism, and other cross-border crimes with President Biya and Cameroonian government officials. President Buhari will also use the opportunity of his visit to Yaoundé to meet with Nigerians living in Cameroon. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, said the President, who is due back in Abuja on Thursday, will undertake a one-day trip to Benin Republic on Saturday for talks with President Boni Yayi to round off the diplomatic shuttle to neighboring countries, which he embarked upon on assumption of office to strengthen regional cooperation against terrorism. The Director Army Public Relations, Colonel Sani Usman, says troops have successfully repelled attacks in Buratai, hometown of the Chief of Army Staff in Borno State. A statement by the Director revealed that the military camp and installation in the community were secured. It stated further that the situation in Buratai is calm, with people going about their daily routine. Our composite group, Nigerian Air Force Maiduguri, has flagged off a free medical outreach for internally displaced persons in Borno. Naomi Abako reports that the program is with the theme Alleviating the Medical Challenges of IDPs.
The insurgency and activities of Boko Haram in the northeast, particularly in Borno, has forced many people to flee their homes. That necessitated the creation of internally displaced persons camp in Maiduguri by the Borno state government, where over 100,000 people are hosted. Chief of Air Staff, Air Vice Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, represented by Commander 79 Composite Group, Nigerian Air Force Maiduguri, Air Commander Chris Egoba, said it was in the light of this that the command is reaching out to IDPs by providing them free medical care.
The Chief of the Air Staff had directed us to do so. He is prepared for it, and he has already given us all the resources we need to conduct all the medical outreaches for all the IDPs. We are ready.
He assured that all IDP camps in Maiduguri will benefit, pointing out that there are enough medical personnel and drugs to meet the health needs of the IDP.
You know that we just emerged from the fasting, so we've seen a lot of people with gastritis and septic ulcer diseases. There are a lot of old people here. Some came with arthritis, and we are seeing them. In fact, some critical cases, like the one I'm seeing now, she can barely walk.
Some of them are malnourished, and most of them have hypertension, and some others also have rashes all over their bodies that could be due to unhygienic conditions.
More than 7,000 IDPs from Goza, Askira Uba, and Mercy local government areas will be checked at this camp. The Arabic Teachers College IDPs camp officials expressed gratitude to the Nigerian Air Force and promised to keep the camp clean towards preventing outbreak of diseases. In Maiduguri, Naomi Aboko, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari this Tuesday met the former Lagos State Governor and one of the leaders of the government APC, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, at the presidential villa. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that details of their discussions, which lasted about 30 minutes, were not made public. However, in an interview with newsmen, the APC chieftain Bola Ahmed Tinubu insists that the Change Nigeria project is on course and appeals for understanding of the people in view of the wealth inherited in all spheres of national life. Senator Tinubu used the forum to commend President Buhari for wading into the leadership crisis in the National Assembly and expressed optimism that normalcy will be restored in the interest of the country.
Traditional norm all over the world, there is an honeymoon period. Change is not by magic. It's driven by the people, the spirit and the character and the planning. You see, we've had so much problem in this country in the past because we run into pit, we run into policy blindfolded without adequate and effective planning. You don't have results unless you plan well. The time it takes you to plan, examine, re-check, re-evaluate, it's more important than the time you just rush into taking action because they have been sentimental, being emotional, and being driven by other forces that are not expected. It's not fair.
APC chieftain and former Lagos State Governor Bola Tinubu. Now the Senate has received a communication from President Muhammadu Buhari seeking its approval for the confirmation of the new Chief of Defence Staff and the service chiefs as appointed by him recently. At his resumption from about 5 weeks recess, the Senate President also announced the nominations by the minority party, the People's Democratic Party PDP, with Senator Godswill Akpabio from Akwa Ibom State becoming the minority leader. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Garba Beninkodo reports that senators unanimously passed the vote of confidence on the Senate leadership led by Senate President Bukola Saraki.
We want to show, and indeed must show, that this Senate is alive to its lawmaking, oversight, policy-making and representation duties. While we may have adjourned plenary, the Senate continued to work within, proactively reaching out to key public institutions, including the ICPC, stakeholders, NBA, Labour, Nigerian Labour, Central Bank, IOCs, FIRs, and many other agencies for briefing on the state of the nations and their various agencies were part of a broader Senate strategy to understanding the legal, regulatory, and institutional gaps that may be holding these agencies back in fulfilling their mandate. Nigerians want to see the National Assembly tackle these obscenities in their revenue system as it denies our people the right to good governance. Soon afterwards, we shall be working together to see how we can put in concrete steps towards supporting the executive towards rehabilitation and renewal of the battered economy of the northeast of our country.
The scheming by various factions of the All Progressives Congress in the House of Representatives at appointing principal officers has been put to rest with the emergence of Femi Gbajabiamila as the leader of the 8th House of Representatives. National Assembly correspondent Aishatu Zango Abdullahi reports that the Speaker of the House, Yakubu Dogara, announced a list of principal officers from both the sides of the majority and minority parties on the floor of the House.
Our Deputy Whip will be Honorable Pali Iriashe. Deputy Leader will be Honorable Buba Jibril. The Chief Whip will be Honorable Al-Hassan Abdul Dogwa from Northwest. And the House Leader will be Honorable Femi. The Deputy Minority Whip will be Honorable Binta Bello. The Deputy Minority Leader will be Honorable Chukuma Onyema. Minority Whip is Honorable Yakubu Umar Barde, the former Deputy Majority Leader, now Minority Leader. Right Honorable
What you saw in the last 49 days was actually democracy in action. That's what politics is all about. Everybody trying to outwit everybody for the greater good of the country.
and I'm glad that everything has panned out the way it has panned out. You will now see the house that you knew before, better that you've known in the last 4 years. You now see that house back in action.
Ad hoc Committee on Information, Sani Zero, who briefed the media, said the crises that engulfed the House over the leadership issue were mainly transitional.
We thank Mr. President for hosting a 20-minute meeting, which was very, very crucial. What Mr. President did was a fatherly engagement. What he did, you can agree with me, has clearly shown that he is not the so-called dictator that our opponents, had wanted to paint him as. Obviously, the president is a game changer. He has changed the game because...
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has adopted a motion calling on the federal government to publish the handover notes of the past administration in office. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nko reports that the House, which resumed from its working recess, also resolved to screen the newly appointed service chiefs. Now, in line with efforts to ensure credibility and integrity of the electoral process and democratic practice in Nigeria, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has organized a post-election workshop for accredited observer groups. The program.
Most successful elections so far conducted in Nigeria's democratic experience, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has continued to receive accolades for piloting peaceful transition from a ruling party to the opposition following the outcome of the 2015 general elections, a feat unprecedented in Nigeria's political history. In spite of these achievements, INEC is leaving no stone unturned to bring about a continuity in this trend. Stakeholders converge to review the report of the elections from federal and state officers of the Commission and also from independent and international groups.
Provoking this workshop will afford us the opportunity to brainstorm on what went well during the election and what were the challenges faced, the lesson learned and way forward for future elections.
The syndicated groups comprising observers and INEC state monitors are reviewing experiences and conduct pre- and post-elections with emphasis on the salient challenges.
The observer groups for the very first time are becoming part of the process of creating all the issues that relate to observers themselves.
They should provide security for observers, and with women observers, we find it very difficult.
The outcome of the workshop is expected to be factored into the Kogi and Bayelsa governorship elections, which are scheduled for November and December 2015. In Abuja, Ifeanyi Okafor, NTA News.
This is the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. We earlier informed you that Nigeria is to collaborate with Cameroon and Benin Republic on the war against insurgency. We also heard that the leadership tussle in the House of Representatives has ended with the emergence of Femi Gbajabiamila as the House leader. Still to come, U.S. President Barack Obama warns African leaders against clinging to power. Details in a moment.
You are watching NTA, Nigerian Television Authority. For more information and news updates, visit our website at www.nta.ng, or you can follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now, or you can like us on Facebook at NTA Network News. Stay connected on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our live stream at www.nta.ng/live. NTA, you can't take the risk.
Good to have you back. The need for the fourth estate of the realm to constantly consolidate on content development and revenue generation in a digitized media environment re-echoed in Abuja. In a two-day interactive forum, stakeholders from various television stations are looking at ways of harmonizing their ideas for the development of the media in Nigeria. Abdul Malik Hadir tells us more.
These are heads of various media television stations from across the country, an initiative of BBC Media Action. Their presence here is aimed at discussing best practices and trends in television viewing, media consumption, audience satisfaction, content development, management skills and revenue generation. Nigeria over the years, mixed reactions have trailed audience perception towards various content and television production. Through this forum, the BBC Media Action team attempts to chart in a new course for these media practitioners.
There are so many content providers today, and with the digitization and competition, we have to really do something. We have to step up the game to remain relevant.
Besides issues of content development and revenue generation, practitioners say there is more to learn. Power is the challenge that almost every station, whether radio or television, face. I see this meet as very significant to the development of especially TV broadcasting in this country. Here we are putting heads together to see how we can come out with better content. And since we know that content plus clarity equals cash, it means perhaps after the end of this meeting, we're going to have a better television industry in this country. About 34 television stations out of 96 television stations in the country are participating in the first phase of this program. In Abuja, Abdulmalik Adio, NTA News.
The Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN, says it will continue to facilitate, promote and coordinate the development of small and medium-scale enterprises with the aim of building the nation's economy. Director General of the agency, Alhaji Bature Masani, reaffirmed this at a training program for over 300 farmers holding in Kwali Council area. Justin Ben reports.
The capacity and training program is to further enhance the farmers' techniques with a resultant effect in increased productivity and also build entrepreneurial foundation. Director General of SMEDAN emphasized that such training programs by the agency assists entrepreneurs to enhance and harness potentials in the agricultural sector.
But we have told them here that farming should be seen as business. They should ensure that they have their produce, process it more, and not to sell as the raw material.
Holders in the training believe that a training which will boost the skills of the farmers will go a long way to add value to the socio-economic growth of the nation.
To train them, to further, enlighten them on how, they can increase their productivity and their profitability. At the end of the day, we see how we can also partner with the institute that is responsible to finance these people.
If SMEDAN, in collaboration with NASCOOP, helps us to get what we want, it is going to boost the economy of this country.
We will hope to incorporate more of our farmers into it, because our people have a way of doing things their traditional ways.
The training will facilitate the farmers' business plans for possible funding by development and microfinance banks. In Abuja, Justin Ben, NTA News.
In an effort to ensure that local research, innovations and invention are adopted by industrialists and entrepreneurs to build capacity in the science and technology sector, the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion has launched an Industry Technology Transfer Fellowship Scheme, NITTF, designed to bridge the gap between the academics and industries. Science correspondent Kirian Umayo reports.
3 PhD students scaled through the relevant examination to participate in the research scheme sponsored by some industries. The researchers are expected to come up with results that could be converted into technological inventions for industrialization.
Once there is a product in the country, we will transform that product into, we add value to it so that industry will use it. I'm working on the use of our locally produced raw materials like cassava, wheat and millet. How can we make use of these raw materials, transform them into a product that can be used to produce noodles?
Former Director General, NOTAP, Dr. Umar Dindel says it is time for new thinking and design for a clear path
to positive science and technology future.
We have the knowledge infrastructure in terms of universities, polytechnics, and other research institutions. But what we are not doing is that we are not challenging them well, we are not guiding them well to ensure that they work on problems that are needed in our country. Good number of the researches are mere academic exercises. We need to move away from that to ensure that the research we undertake are research that will solve problems of Nigerians.
Speakers at the occasion called on more industrialists to engage in technological interventions for industrialization. In Abuja, Kirian Umayo, NTA News.
The attention of the federal government has been drawn to the operation of an illegal organization known as Nigerian Merchant Navy Seafarers Maritime Petroleum Security and Safety Corps, parading itself as the fourth arm of the Nigerian Armed Forces military. The group has been busy recruiting youths nationwide and demanding sums of money. They are also duplicating duties of the Nigerian Navy and wearing similar uniforms and ranks where they operate. Consequently, the federal and state agencies as well as the general public are warned on the illegal status of the organization and also avoid falling victim of its schemes of extortion and offer of non-existent jobs. U.S. President Barack Obama has ended his visit to Africa, warning the leaders against clinging to power, and South Korea says it is virtually free of the Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. Details of these and more with Obiageli Ugoke.
President Barack Obama was addressing the 54-member continental bloc at the African Union headquarters in Ethiopia capital, Addis Ababa, the first time a sitting U.S. president has addressed the body. He charged the African Union to ensure leaders respect their constitutions and step down when their term ends.
From Sierra Leone, Ghana, Benin, to Botswana, Namibia, South Africa, democracy is taking root. In Nigeria, more than 28 million voters bravely cast their ballots and power transferred as it should, peacefully.
Earlier, President Obama visited Kenya, the homeland of his late father. In South Korea, Prime Minister Hwang Kyung-hon told government officials on Tuesday that the country had not seen a new mass case in more than 3 weeks. A court in Libya has sentenced Saiful Islam Gaddafi, son of the post leader Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, and 8 others to death over war crimes linked to the 2011 revolution. He is also wanted by the International Criminal Court on charges of war crimes against humanity. Presently, he is being held by a former rebel group from the town of Zintan that refused to hand him over. Meanwhile, the court says he has the right to appeal. Obiageli Ugoke, NTA News.
The federal government releases funds for all Africa Games and Rio Olympics as Nigerian Cricket Federation parleys sports writers on cricket convergence. Fisayo Rufui has these and more on sports updates.
Nigeria's preparations for the 2015 All-Africa Games built for Congo-Brazzaville in September, the Samoa 2015 Youth Games and the Rio 2016 Olympic Games have received a boost as the federal government released funds for the relevant sports federations to prosecute their programs and give the nation a befitting representation at the different international meets. The Director General of the National Sports Commission says the funds have been released with the expectation of sporting glory for the nation.
The approval of Mr. President to the Ministry of Finance for the sum of 2,971,615,920.00 crore to take us to All Africa Games and prepare for 2016 Olympics.
The Nigerian Cricket Federation says the recent cricket seminar for reporters in Abuja is to further popularize the game in the country. The seminar, tagged Understanding, Interpreting and Reporting Cricket, is to ensure efficient reportage of cricket news, give basic explanation on the rudiments of the game, format, unique terminologies, scoring, as well as umpire signals and dismissals.
Most importantly is the sustainability of relationship, which has to go a long way in making sure that everybody knows about cricket in Nigeria.
The city of Boston has withdrawn from the bidding process of the 2024 Olympic Games. The city mayor, Martin Walsh, said Boston is not ready to commit taxpayers to finance any extra cost for the multi-sport event. The U.S. Olympic Committee is now looking for a replacement ahead of the deadline. With Sports News Update, Fisaya Ogunfui, NTA News.
Up next is a quick look at Wednesday's weather prospect in Nigeria and some world cities.